Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my channel, my studio. Today we're going to discover a new technique for doing a nice loose background, and this is a butterfly that I did this morning, and I want to show you how I did the background first of all, and then I'll go on and show you how I did the butterfly. So I have here a piece of watercolor paper. This is Bao Hong 1, but it could just as easily have been a Eden piece because it's all the same stuff. And yeah, I wanted to do something interesting and new and different today. So I've decided on showing you this technique, which is one that I don't use very often, and I bet you haven't ever used it either. I've got my Kuretake paints here. I'm not quite sure exactly which ones I've got, whether I've got all the right ones in, because I took them all out the other day, and then I realised that they don't have their names on the back, some of them. Some of them do, some of them don't. So I've put them back, and I hope they're more or less right, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. So this is a piece of dry paper, and I'm going to use a biggish kind of brush. This is, I don't know what size this is, because it's, oh, well, wait a minute. It says it's a size 12, but it's a very big size 12. This one was given to me about 20 years ago. No, more than that, 25 years ago. Still in good condition, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is I've already pre-wet all these paints and they're jolly soggy. So I'm just going to pick up lots of paint and I'm just going to slosh it on any old how, random. You know how random I can be. And I'm not worrying about wasting paint or using the wrong color or anything. I am literally just sloshing it on, a bit like my cooking, you know, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of the other. And so I'm letting it run, putting lots of light turquoise on down here to kind of just let the darker colours flow down into it. And it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter at all what you do, because this is just stage one. Okay, so we've done that. And now we take a piece of kitchen towel, and what we're going to do next is, this is appropriate because it's actually got butterflies on it. So there we are. So I'm just going to lay that on top, and immediately it will start to soak up the paint. But we don't leave it there, and we don't tap it down. We don't do anything like that. We just go back to our paints and we pick up paint. And this is one reason why you don't spend too much money on paint, in my opinion. You don't need to. And you're just picking up lots of wet paint and very lightly, you just drip the paint, basically. You're only barely touching the paper and just doing what you just did underneath, but doing it again. Don't need to worry about where the paint goes, how much you use, how thick it is, how thin it is. Don't need to worry about anything. One part of it might want to be lighter. Doesn't matter. It's not going to make any difference. The more random you can be, the better. The lighter your touch, probably the better. And we're not going to take the paper off yet. What we're going to do is we're going to let it sit for a while and let it kind of sink in, because what we had before I did the butterfly, we had this kind of effect, but there's another step to come yet, so we won't worry about that just yet. We'll leave that. I'm going to put that to one side. I'll just put it up here on this table easel and let that dry for a few minutes. People worry about the shape of butterflies and how to draw them. If you want an outline to use, you can go to our website and download something like this. It probably won't be this exact one, but there'll be something there for you to download. Another way of doing it, actually, that I was practicing with this morning, I've got some squared paper, and you realise once you start to draw the things, you realise how hard it is to make them even. So what you can do, you see, is you can draw half a butterfly, and so you just cut that off like that. You draw half a butterfly that you're mildly satisfied with, right? So like that, half a butterfly, and then you turn it over and you draw the other half. So you know what I mean. You take a piece of paper, you've got half a butterfly, and on the back of it, you come in with your pencil. Hopefully you've got one handy. All right. I'm just going to do this really quickly because I know how easy it is to get bored. So you do that, and then you go around your outline like that. You'd probably try and draw a slightly better one in the first place, and then you turn it over. Hang on a second. Then first of all, you do this again, and then turn it over like that, and you can go over it again. And then I hope we should have a symmetrical butterfly. How about that then? And while we're waiting for the background to dry, I'll show you one way of painting a loose butterfly. This is on the other side of that one, which didn't come out very well. So I'm just wetting the paper, and this kind of thing, this is just ordinary pencil, so it won't really run, and you could rub it out afterwards. So one way of doing a nice loose butterfly, let's do a pink one. Let's turn this round. And we'll do some, what do you call it? Some Kuretake Art Nouveau pink, and we'll just drop it in the middle, and it won't run onto the body because I didn't wet the body. And we'll put it there as well, and it won't run onto the body because I didn't wet the body, but it will run. You see, even when I tip it like that, it won't run into the body. It's amazing, it's magic. But it will run. If you keep doing this, it'll run. You could do one at a time. You don't have to do them both together. And then you could take a slightly different colour, maybe slightly darker. You could put a bit more in there. This is a technique we often use for leaves as well. And then you could put some, and dragonflies. I don't know whether you've seen the dragonfly ones that I've done. We've done lots of butterflies like this. There's lots more videos on the channel. We've got 1,100 videos on our channel at the moment. So there's something for everybody and something different. There's almost certain to be something you haven't seen if you go and explore. Look at the playlists, you know. We have loads of playlists which have got things gathered in them together. So like you can find a playlist of butterflies and a playlist of birds and a playlist of easy mark making designs, and you know. So anyway, so that's going to run nicely. When it's dry, we can put the body and the antennae in, and we can put in any other markings like wing veins and things like that onto the wings. So that's come out quite nicely. So that's going to be okay. And let me have a look at this and see how it's going on. It looks quite dramatic. I think I might take that off. Ooh, look. Ooh, we have a forest. we seem to have a forest. So this is absolutely completely random, and you have no idea what's going to come out when you take the paper off. You could probably, it might benefit from a little bit of dabbing out, a little bit of lifting to just kind of take up some of the darkness there. I think that's probably a good idea. And we can sort of modify it a bit. And it's just a great thing to play with. I mean, can't you imagine how the children would love this? I mean, doesn't that look like a forest? It does rather, doesn't it? This bit's a bit too dark. So I'm going to wet that. You know, the control freak in me can't actually shut up. I probably shouldn't do that, but I'm going to anyway. That's better, I think. It wants to be a little bit more balanced. So that bit there too. This is what's called lifting out. Everything has to have a fancy name, doesn't it? Well, that is very interesting. And so not at all what I expected, really, because I thought it would come out more like this, but I think I just used a lot more water. So what I need to do with that one is to dry it, because it's probably quite wet. So I'll do that. Well, there's so many things that you could do with this. Having done that so far, so good. What I think I will do is I'm going to trace a butterfly onto there, okay? I know this isn't exactly symmetrical, but for the purposes of this experiment, I think that will do. So let's scribble over the back of it, like we always do. And what was I going to say? I'll do the outline, and then, gosh, there are so many things that you could do, and it's going to be hard to decide. So anyway, so that's going to go. This looks more like the sky, so we'll put it here, I think. Okay, and then we'll grab our pencil, which has lost its point. Doesn't matter. You don't want the body too big because it looks ugly when it's too big. I made that mistake earlier on. Not very easy to see, but we can go over that. And I'm going to go over it with this pencil. This is the remains of a Carrot Aquarelle from Stettler, which is basically a watercolor pencil. And I like this one because it has a very darkness about it, and it likes to explode when you put color or water onto it. So it does make some very dramatic effects. So that's quite nice. Sometimes you don't always want that, but it will do that. So when I wet it, which I'm going to do next, you can see it running, right? And that in itself is quite a pretty effect. And you could do that with any watercolor pencil, especially the ones that are quite powerful, like the, what do you call them? I've forgotten what they're called. Those ones that aren't actually watercolor pencil, but are actually ink tints, that's it. So yeah, see, that's quite good, isn't it? Isn't that interesting? So as you touch the line that you just drew the butterfly in, it shows up really strongly. So now when you add your color, you're going to get another effect. Again, yet another effect. And these are all things that you can play around with. So let's try some sort of Air Force blue and just drop that in to the wing and let that gather momentum. And we can move it around. You can find out where you didn't make it wet, although you thought you did, so we just encourage that out. And then we want something darker for the tips of the wings, maybe Forest Gump green, perhaps. Sap green deep. Let me just put some green up here. You can pretend that you are designing, original animals when you do this, because your birds and butterflies and all the rest of it don't have to look like the real thing. Make sure you leave some areas light. You don't want it to all go very, very dark. So you can do that. And then if you want to, you could do the body in this pencil, and then this is a bit risky. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work out. This will probably run like heck, but that doesn't necessarily matter. So then you just darken down the body like that. And then you can bring out, oh, they didn't work very well, did they? Looks like a fish or a lobster or something. Anyway, that's better. Yeah, that's okay. And then you can go around the outside edges with your pencil if you want to, or you can wait for it to dry and come in and do some more embellishments. So we might do that. We'll dry it. These things always come up a little bit lighter when they're dry, watercolor being the way it is. So I'm going to pick up a bit of silver here from my Kuretake paints. They have a silver and a gold in their set, so that's quite nice. And then I think I'm just going to put some silver dots and maybe around here. And maybe a couple of little dots on the body. And then and we could use now a pen. I could use an ordinary black liner, or I can use a thick and thin liner, and that's actually quite nice because if you want to give it a sort of rustic look, you can kind of go around the edges, pressing hard and releasing, so you get thick and thin lines, which you can't do with an ordinary pen, but which can look quite nice. If you're looking for a sort of mixed media, vintage kind of look, and you can make the edges of the butterfly's wings look a bit tattered, as they so often do. And then you can put in some veins if you want. It's very lightly. It's very good, this pen, because it pretends it's got a sort of mixed personality. It's half the time it's a number, it's a sort of thick nib, and then you could just lift it very, very, very lightly, and you can get a very fine line too. And then we can do some circles or something like that. Maybe I'll try and straighten that up a little bit. And some butterflies have quite sort of striking markings, don't they? So you could use this pen to sort of do that. And go around the silver here, perhaps. And you can, you know, leave it really loose. You don't have to do any of this. You could just leave it really loose. Just depends how you feel. But I sort of thought it's kind of good to have it sort of standing out against the background a little bit. A little bit of shadow behind, maybe. And if you wanted to, you could do some dots on there, you know, some spatter with a toothbrush. If you wanted to, maybe you could do a little bit of silver spatter. That might be quite nice. Or gold. Might not show up very much, but give that little bit of extra texture. So there we are. I think that will probably do for now. And so we have this one to come back to. I'll just put that over there for a minute. This one to come back to. So we need to think about finishing this one off. I think I might just use an ordinary pen. No, that's not an ordinary pen. This is an ordinary pen. And we'll just sketch in body. Get some antennae. And then I might go around the outside edge, just do a sort of pen and ink version here. Something completely different. You could do a set of these on the same piece of paper, so you would have like three, one above the other. Dunk, 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 a little sort of botanical kind of arrangement. That would look nice. And I don't know if I can really do the veins in pen. Maybe. Don't want to get too heavy with the veins. But they are kind of, they do sort of give a certain amount of shape, don't they? And then we could have a few sort of... That's quite good where those two little holes appeared in the paint, because I hadn't quite wetted it completely. So that's something to bear in mind. You might want to do that. There we are then. So we've got one delicate little butterfly, quite different from the others. So that's it for today, I think. I think we'll stop there. So this was my practice one, which I think is a little bit on the heavy side and not terribly good, but this one's much better. And then this one, which is more traditional and shows you how wet and wet works when you just wet the background and allow the colour to just move. And this probably isn't even completely dry yet, but while it's drying, it will continue to move. And you'll be surprised when you come back after lunch and you look at it, you'll think, oh. And if you set up your camera on your phone and had it recording, you know, in, what do they call it? Time lapse or something, then you'd be able to see the paint actually moving. Tamsin said the other day that when she does the video editing, when she goes back and forward through the painting, she can see when something like, if you put core paint, that moves very fast and you can see it very easily just exploding and pushing its way through the paper like crazy. So anyway, so there we are. I shall let you go now and hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. So I'll say bye for now and bye-bye from my butterflies. Got quite a flock of them here. Do you have flocks of butterflies? I suppose you probably do. Why not? Okay, oh yes, and don't forget, if you want some sketches to download, you can go to the website. On the website, there's lots of cool stuff. There's loads and loads and loads of sketches to download. You can buy what we call a studio pass for just $1, and then you get 10 free. If you want more than 10 and you're a member of Patreon or the YouTube studio membership, then you can just ask for more and you can have as many as you like because they're free for anyone who's a member of our supporters clubs. So I hope that's clear. And yeah, watch out for our newsletter this weekend, which will be coming out hopefully tomorrow, with any luck, if we get around to doing it. If not, it'll be next week, because life's very busy here with all these animals, as you can well imagine. So I'll see you on the website, hopefully. Don't forget to download your sketches, and you could even buy yourself a new mug if you felt that way inclined. Right, enough of me. I'll say goodbye, and I will see you soon. Bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye. And bye-bye from Lottie. And bye-bye from Zen. Lottie says I'm bored.